Police are tonight no closer to finding little Gus Lamont, who went missing from his remote homestead 12 days ago. And as the little boy's family continues to search the property, one childhood friend has echoed calls for the online speculation to stop.
The online vitriol has been brutal, absolutely brutal. But not only that, it's unkind and it's absolutely unhelpful. And I guess there's an invitation here for people to really just stop and just think.
Meanwhile, this fake AI-generated image suggesting 4-year-old Gus Lamont being abducted is yet another example of grifting going on in the online sewer that is social media.
I got nightmares in my head, I fear thoughts build up until I can't feel. My mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper. I got nightmares in my head, I fear.
Hello and welcome to True Crime Rocket Science. This image has come out at a time when we are genuinely stymied by this case. This latest headline from the Daily Mail says it all. Who or what took Gus in the outback? 1 minute the angelic 4-year-old was playing in a makeshift sandpit behind the family farmstead, the next he was gone, leaving only a single footprint in the dust.
12 days on and still there's been no trace of the curly-haired 4-year-old despite an army of volunteers and police scouring the rough terrain.
And so what we have is this sort of vacuum of information. You've got this huge demand, this groundswell of interest, this deep desire for information, but then there's just no information out there. There's basically an information desert. And so within that vacuum, what happens? Someone generates an answer. But is it true? We are now seeing virtually every high-profile case poisoned and polluted with this sort of fakery. Do you like being lied to, manipulated and conned? I don't. One of the reasons this channel exists is to stand for something.
Why are you here? There must be a reason for you to be here.
Yes, I'm here to fight for truth and justice in the American way.
Before we get to the rest of this analysis, if you're finding this episode worthwhile, meaningful, please subscribe. You can also hit the thanks button and let's get started. So what this fakery achieves is an inversion of that goodness, of this pursuit of truth and justice and conscience, and living in a society that we believe is good for one and good for all. It's supposed to edify us as individuals who care about ourselves and our world, this pursuit of truth, right? But this fakery, what it achieves is an inversion of that. Careless and reckless disregard for the truth. Instead of integrity and a moral code, we see grifting, opportunism, and an almost gleeful pickpocketing, not only of our hearts and minds, but our collective spirit. It leads to a kind of brainless ignorance, just a widespread malaise of carelessness. We are letting go of a lot of the values that we've held true, values that have seen us through thick and thin. Just yesterday I was watching the Ironman World Championship and just seeing these women pushing themselves. And how are they able to do that? Because they've got faith in something. And if you don't have that, if you destroy that, you're not able to run the race, your race of truth.
What are we holding on to, Sam?
What this tide spilling out of the sewer reveals isn't the good in the world, but the rising tide of gutter journalism. The more you consume it, the less you care about anything or anyone, including and especially yourself. I see a lot of people in my communities complaining either about Fox News or CNN, but you will never see the mainstream media come up with this sort of blatant, obvious nonsense. Why is it when social media comes up with this stuff, usually using AI, there doesn't seem to be much indignation? Why? I feel very indignant. Do you? Because you should.
Major crime detectives are now focused on an infrared drone scan which was done at the property and will look for any abnormalities along the rugged station. That hopefully will give them a new lead, but will take some time before that data is available.
How much time and resources do we waste debunking this nonsense when we could be and should be focusing on the real story and the real facts? Isn't that what you want to do? That's certainly what I want to do. Think about what we are dealing with here and just how cynical it is. A child goes missing, a family is heartbroken, and an entire country is swept up in the search for a mysteriously missing child. Someone then comes along who doesn't care about the story other than noticing how popular it is and how they can take advantage of that. And then within this dearth of a lack of information, right now there's, as I say, an information drought surrounding this case. They wave a magic wand and give the public what they know they want, a breakthrough. In this case, it's a photo of Gus being abducted. Have a look at it. Really? Someone took a photo of him being bundled into a vehicle somewhere that's extremely rural. Who took the photo? None of it makes sense because it's nonsense. This is not a game, it's dangerous and it's divisive. In terms of my own channel, I've had people mine my own most popular videos, remix them using AI and then republish them. One recent example even reused my logo on one of their videos. It's very easy for me to recognize and report. But what about you guys? That's why, do you know who I tend to blame? You guys. Not all of you, of course. But those of you out there who see these too good to be true videos or these rip-offs and you keep watching and keep sharing. Those who listen to AI-generated content narrated by AI-generated voices on cases these new creators have zero expertise in. When I have reported them, they've invariably communicated with me to apologize, revealing themselves to have names that sound Indian or Pakistani. It's just hard for me to believe these people really care about the cases that they're covering. I do care about them. I've written books about a lot of the cases I've covered. I've spent a lot of time, shed a lot of blood, sweat and tears in terms of my research. Someone else comes along and they just use fancy technology to remix something and they invest nothing in it. They don't have any stake in the outcome other than trying to make money out of it. And now with virtually every new case, we are seeing a distorted mirror investigation that involves clueless logic and conspiracy-driven garbage. The reason this is happening is, again, because there's a large audience out there of gullible idiots that can't tell the difference between fakery and reality. I come from a school of journalism. I worked for a media company. I come from the school of hard knocks. It's been a long slog to get where I'm going. But some people have just cheated that whole process. And, I hold myself to a higher standard. I wish many of you would do the same. Hold us, true crime creators, to a higher standard. But I also wish many, not all, but many of you would have some standards yourselves. A big part of the problem is also the algorithm. This is the difference between human editors, human journalists at traditional newspapers and news agencies who have some sort of moral compass and a machine code that's just programmed to foster engagement, no matter what it is, no matter whether it's true or false, or no matter what the cost. Do you like being lied to, manipulated and conned? Should we have a new genre called fake crime and everyone can go there and play their pointless fictional games? In some cases like the Ramsey case and the McCann case, there's a lot of darkness surrounding those events. It's hard enough, it's significant enough as it is to deal with without adding to it with more mindless muck. If we are not careful, we will soon not just be contaminated by this growing darkness, but consumed by it, by mindless drivel. When that happens, we are like so many Pinocchios with long noses heading off to Pleasureland to do what we want to do, to hear just what we want to hear, and before you know it, you'll have herds of donkeys sitting at their keyboards. I mean, is that truth, justice, and the American way, or the way that we want things to be?
Where does he get that stuff? How do you ever expect to be a real boy? What's he think I look like? A jackass?
You sure do!
That is really what this fake stuff is aimed at, is basically they regard us as jackasses. Instead of a wooden puppet turning into a real boy, people are turning into so many horses' asses. So let's wake up, all of us, and encourage those around us to wake up and smell the coffee too. I really think it's important that we do. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.